Hello friends, welcome to Kavita's classroom. Sustainability is the talk of the town today. Why? Because the mankind and the whole world is into the never-ending race of growing, developing, becoming rich and richer. So in that, they just are producing and just overlooking one aspect, that is the nature and the surroundings. So they are emitting the emissions which are deadly for the whole nature, right, and the atmosphere. So pollution is something which needs a control. How the governments are controlling, how they are trying to just take care of this aspect so that they should grow, but that should be a green growth. So let's understand the same. So when we talk about the market failure in this aspect, what does that mean? If we just check out the market situations of demand and supply, it will determine that level of pollution which is beyond the social optimal level of output. Hence, government has to intervene and hence the market fails in this regard. Government also takes market trade pollution permits also as the tool to control this. How does it happen? Let's understand. The meaning is for sustainable development, the government sets the level of pollution allowed by the industries. So permits are issued to match this level, right? And when we're talking about the permits, any emission beyond this level would be fined because that is the tolerance which is given by the government. So, for example, there are two forms, Forms A and Form B. So, if they are giving the emissions beyond the desired and the notified level, right? So they have two options. Either they switch to some technology which gives lesser emissions or they buy the permits. Permits means they are allowed to go for emissions in a tolerance range. Beyond that, it would be a fine scenario, right? So Form A, for example, is emitting 10 units of emissions. It can be in tons and all. And Firm B also is doing the same. And the cap means the upper limit as decided and defined by the government is 8. So if the Firm A is going for new technologies, say it has controlled the emissions to 6 and it's very well in limits. And the other thinks that instead of investing in the new technology, let's buy the permit. It will again add the cost for the production, right? So here it continues to go for this same level of emissions, right? So the cap is 16 and that is somehow attained. Out of these two options, the firm has to go for anyone, right? So the situation is government takes care by setting a limit. See, this is socially optimal level of quantity which can be given or allowed in the economy. So this S is the supply curve of this tradable pollution permits is perfectly inelastic, right, as decided by the government, considering the environment, considering the needs of environment and the pollution levels, right? Demand is the traditional downward sloping demand curve. They intersect at E, giving the price of the permit at P and the quantity at SO. QSO means socially desired level of permits, which is as per the or in sync with the government rules, right? Decisions. Okay. So at times, because people now can afford to buy, right? So price is not the thing which is inhibiting them to buy the permits. Hence, at times when there is more and more demand of these permits, government then simply reduces the permits which are allowed considering the situation of the environment. Hence, the S, the supply of this permit, moves to leftward, right? Showcased as S dash curve. So this simply increases the cost of the permit from OP to OP dash. So this way, with the help of permits, government tries to inhibit them from deteriorating the surroundings, right? And the benefits are sustainable environment is attained somehow. There is incentive to go for the investment in the green technology, and this would help them more if even if there is a rise in the prices of permits, they would not be burdened. But it's not really very easy. There are a number of challenges involved in this because the enforcement of this law would be a tough deal. And the information base of the government to know how much is the permissible limit, how much is the emission done by the government and by the other firms and all. So this would be again a challenge for the government to collect this data. There would be loss of production or GDP by the marginal producers. Why? Because there are underdeveloped, developing, undeveloped nations also for whom that luxury of good technology is not there. They cannot add to the cost of production. Hence, they may lose the GDP, overall GDP for the nation, right? And because climate change and the global warming is no one's in personal issue, right? It is the issue of the whole world fraternity. So we actually need to have the mutual cooperation by all the nations of the world, because if somebody abides by these laws and the other doesn't, the whole motive just fades. I hope you understood, and thanks for watching.